We might have a little bit of time for questions, so if you have questions that you want to direct to Uta or Alice, go ahead. No? We don't have questions either.
I have a question. Okay. Questions actually. Did you do any research beforehand into what made people pick books off shelves? What attracts people to physical books on the shelves? Or do you know what research has been done on that?
Yeah, we read a lot about the research and serendipity of library science, but it's been done a lot of how you place books on the shelves, how you put the shelves there, but it's not so much targeted to digital interfaces or what you could do with visualization.
Actually, the guidelines that Alice presented were very strongly based on those suggestions that people made for physical libraries, so we kind of adapted
colour
them.
and stuff, the obvious ones, yes, we know about it. When we've got a very old stock like ours, when we don't have lots of nice covers on the books, there are obvious other ways that we could approach these sort of ideas, rather.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, this is just one example of how these guidelines could be implemented. But if the collection is hinting towards other things, it's more that could be done. Yeah.
So I have a question. How many books does the system support? The
right
library
now,
has millions of books. Maybe.
No. Right now it's only 300 books. Which is just like a very small thing to do.
But is that due to limitations of the visualizations themselves, or is it due to you having to input the books manually into the system?
It's limitations of performance mainly, and also the visualizations. If you have like a huge amount of books, you would have to do some sort of clustering stuff. Like some visualizations would work, and others would have to be support that. Anything else? Yes?
I'm really interested in the idea of the tree and the way that you could use that in special collections for themed researching to bring together material across different aspects of our collections all together in one place and use a sort of engaging interface to enable people to have a little bit of serendipitousness. But my question is really about the principle of how directed this is, because Mark was talking about not wanting to be too didactic and just to take people in a linear sense through exhibitions. A lot of our material is very complicated, it has to be mediated, it has to be explained.
Yeah.
It is actually very difficult to allow the visitor to be completely free and open to research in that kind of context where you have to be able to explain. But I still think that you could use this system for bringing lots of different resources together. So you could have your transcriptions, your translations, your pictures, your images, high-level information, detailed information, all brought together in one place.
Yeah, right now it's very, very open, but I think at least being able to kind of narrow it down to your research topic or topic of interest is one way how you could narrow it down first. And then I don't know, the whole idea here was to get rid of all the linearity and guidance, but I think, if you have a very complex set, maybe it would pose different questions too,
I think it's a matter of combining the different approaches, so you could even have different installations, one that is very open-ended and provides an overview of the entire collection, and others that are more didactic and actually guide people through. So I think it's
different.
Yeah, I think this shouldn't be the only approach, obviously, but it can be combined and giving people then the option to branch off.
It's really exciting, isn't it?
Any questions?
Well, I have another question. It's about children.
Mm-hmm.
We work for children?
This is not for children, but it could be used by children, I think, because of the colorfulness and the playfulness. It might really work very well for children, but we didn't test it on children.
But Uta has worked extensively with children accessing this kind of displays too. So.
Right. I think there has been, especially with the cover, like sorting books by cover color, I think there's already kind of approaches for children's libraries and stuff.
Following up this, talking about interfaces with kids, Florian Locke showed his Flowblocks interface for the museum in Boston. They were having tens of thousands of visitors coming in. this is very much geared for one individual looking and taking a sort of a solo sail through the collection. And if you had it for public library with children, you immediately have multiple people slapping, touching, licking. Do you think these, I mean, he basically came up with kind of a very constraining, very simplified way of making it so that you really had to be doubly sure that you were selecting something. Whereas here, the flow and the interplay between all the visualizations works because it is so free and open. So do you think if you had two people, one of whom was trying to drive it seriously, another person who's trying to touch on everything that moved, what kind of interaction do you think you would get?
That would
color
be
explosion?
complicated.
Yeah.
I think if someone, we had some groups interacting, but they were basically mainly just playing around with it, whereas we observed a lot of in-depth things too, but this was always only one person that kind of like went back and forth and then could really see people reading the abstract, but that would be totally disturbed if someone else touched it somewhere, because then everything reacts, so you wouldn't be able to follow up on reading this stuff. So I think this is really for one person, but some of the concepts would totally work. I think if you just created something that is for multi-user interaction, but yeah, in this case, I think, complicated.
These interactive displays, is there a way to record how users are coming to information and therefore honing your data? I mean, is that part of the background interface to these things?
So you mean tracking where people...
Yeah, how they've gotten from one book to another book.
Yeah, we collected this data, but for this study that I talked about here, we didn't use the interaction blocks yet, but it would be interesting to see. So what you get is a lot of not very meaningful touches, of course, because people just walk by and touch it there and there. So I think you need the video analysis to see when people really spend some time, and then you could get the logs that belong to these interactions and really see how they follow through the collection. That would be another big project evaluation.
I think that would be also good for a long-term study, because we installed it for 2 weeks, and of course there was a huge novelty effect.
Sure.
So people were a lot just exploring the interface itself rather than really looking for books or something, because they didn't know what it was about. But having that installed for a year, where people then know that the display is there and actually approach it from that perspective.
But it was interesting that it was already possible to observe people who really looked at the content too. And I think that would get like even more if you have it there for a longer time. Everybody has seen it after a while, and then people only go there if they really want to use it in a more meaningful way. And then you could get interesting data, I think, about how they moved.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.